and welcome to another Language Professora video. I said hola, so you know it's all about Spanish. We have been looking at a series of conversation questions. So far, we have looked at preguntas personales. There have been 11 questions, and there are 61 for us to go through. So we have 50 more that we need to meander through, okay? So for this video, we have 9 questions about La Familia. Again, I'm trying to keep these videos short, sweet, and spicy so that you can just pick a bud and go about your merry way. Let's get into it. So, pregunta número 12, La Familia. Our first question is, ¿cuántas personas hay en su familia? And there are so many cognates here. I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out what this question is asking. How many persons are in your family? And this is a very easy question to answer. The only difficulty is if you don't recognize what the verb is in this sentence. And strange enough, there's your verb, I. So how many persons are in your family? Your family. We're going to respond, of course, by saying my family, in my family. So, as we have been doing, we pick up the structure down here in our response. En mi familia, then we drop our verb I, and here we insert a number and we round it off with personas. That's all there is to it. So again, you want to go and maybe think about how many persons are in a family, 3, 4, 20, 100, oh no, not 100, right? But you know what I mean. So think about the number of persons and insert that number there. Another way that you could have done this response is starting with the verb. I, the number of persons, and then you round it off with en mi familia. So either way is correct. Número 13. This category is pretty straightforward. And this is asking, ¿es usted casado? If you are male. So if I'm speaking to a gentleman, I would say, ¿es usted casado? If I'm speaking to a lady, I would say, ¿es usted casada? If I'm not sure, I could also ask, ¿es usted soltero to a gentleman, or ¿es usted soltera to a lady? And so these are what these terms mean. Married and single. Married and single. Okay? So in responding to this, we pick up our verb, which is es, coming from ser. And are you married? Are you single? Your response would be, I am married or I am single. So let's put it in context now. If you're asked, are you married? And you're going to say, I am married, I am, soy, and then you would insert casado if you're male, casada if you're female. Now, suppose it's a case where you're asked, are you married? And you're not married, and you want to say, I am not married. No soy casado or casada. Let's do it with the other one, right? Are you single? ¿Es usted soltero? ¿Es usted soltera? And you're going to say, I am single. Soy soltero. Soy soltera. It applies again. If you're not single, but you are asked if you're single, you're going to say, I am not single. No soy soltero. No soy soltera. I told you this category was going to be a breeze. Número 14. Let's go. And this is almost a repetition because I kind of touched on this in the previous category of preguntas personales. So this should be a breeze to get through right here. ¿Cómo se llama su madre o su padre o su marido o su esposa? Su anybody at all, su hijo, su hija, su abuelo, su abuela, everybody at all. All right? So, ¿cómo se llama? That is the most important part. What is the name of whoever the person might be? What is their name? Another way of asking this question, because I like to give the options. ¿Cuál es el nombre de su madre, su padre, etc.? ¿Cuál es el nombre de? What is the name of that particular person? So let's look at how we respond to these two questions. If it's ¿cómo se llama? It's asking, what is your mother's name? What is your father's name? What is your husband's name? Oh, I didn't tell you what these meant, eh? So marido and esposa, they mean the same thing pretty much. So they are synonyms. So this would be spouse. I will use spouse for both of them. So marido, of course, is the husband. And if it was a wife, marida. Esposa for the wife, esposo for the husband. So let's look at how we respond to these questions. So what is your mother's name? Right? So we have to think this one through a little bit, because yes, we're going to say my mother's name, but basically I want to say my mother, she calls herself, not I call myself, no. So it's not going to be me llamo. So my mother, she calls herself. So we grab our su and we make it, so we're looking at this one. Grab our su and we make it mi madre, or mi padre, mi marido, mi esposa, calls herself. So we take our verb and it still remains se llama. My mother calls herself, and we put the name. Anna, Maria, Annabella, whatever her name is. The same thing applies for your spouse. So mi esposo calls himself, whatever his name is, Greg. Mi tío calls himself, mi tío se llama, whatever his name is, Anthony. And in responding to this question, we pick up with this structure. El nombre de. El nombre de, and whoever we're talking about, remember we grab our su and we make it mi madre. Grab our verb, put it down there, es, and we say whatever her name is. And that's all there is to that one. Super duper easy. We could flip this and say, Anna es el nombre de mi madre. Super duper easy, isn't it? So, you know, this is just a breeze. Let's move on to número 15. Cognates again. They're so helpful. ¿Cuál es la profesión o ocupación de, remember it's conversation, su madre, padre, marido, esposa, hermana, and the list goes on. ¿Cuál es la profesión? ¿Cuál es la ocupación? So of course, we pick up these cognates and we see and we know what they are. Profession or occupation, which means the same thing. And if you remember our uses of ser, ser is used with profession or occupation. See all of those things coming back? Used with profession or occupation. And as we have been doing, we look in the question and use the clues in the question to answer the question. So we can begin with this. La profesión or ocupación, and then you pick up whoever you're talking about. De, remember you grab your su and you make it mi. Madre es, let us say that she's enfermera, and you put the profession there. So the profession is what goes here. Now, if you don't want to go through all of this, you could simply say, mi madre es, and you insert the profession. Mi madre es enfermera. So to answer this question, you will need to be familiar with the terms used for your occupation or your profession. It could be a case where you're being asked, what is your profession? What is your occupation? Which we will see in another category, not this one. But you need to be familiar with those terms, especially if you have a job that's a little bit, you know, weird or different or unique. You may want to grab your dictionary and look up the actual word that is used for your particular job function. Let's move on to 16. We met this one already in a different way, but a little revision is always good, eh? So, ¿cómo es su madre or padre or marido or esposa? And we met ¿cómo es already. We met it. If you don't recall meeting it, please go and check the video that is before this one. Go check it. So when we see ¿cómo es, we are being asked for a description. And that description can be either physical or personality. Either physical or personality. So in responding to this now, we are going to grab or su, make it mi, whoever the person is. So mi madre, mi padre, mi hijo, mi hija, mi hermano, mi hermana, whoever the person is, Then we grab our verb, S, and immediately after we have adjective that will describe physical and personality. And I make mention of physical and personality because we want to ensure that the adjectives that we are using are of a permanent nature. Because remember the other one, the como está usted, it's still asking you to say, something about how you're feeling, but in that case, it's more of a temporary nature. So you do want to be careful with this question. So again, I'm going to ask you to comment below what are some of the descriptions that you would use to describe these persons or maybe other members of your family. Número 17. I like this one. And 7, 17, 18, 19, and 20 are kind of similar. So we're going to just breeze through those. So, tiene, this is a yes or no question. All right, and then you have your follow-up. Tiene hijos or hijas? And this is asking, do you have sons? And this could also be children. Remember that when you have a mixed gender, you tend to use your plural masculine form. So it could be, do you have sons or do you have children or do you have daughters? So this is just a yes or no question. But as per usual, I would advise that you try to answer in full sentences. So don't just say sí or no. Answer in proper sentences. And so we're going to grab our verb, which is tiene, coming from tener. The question, do you have? Do you have? Do you have? So your response would be, I have. And our response for I have, coming from tener, is tengo. So of course you put out here sí. If you do, tengo, let's make that a common T. That's looking a little messy. Let's write that over. All right. Grabbing tiene, and we're going to make it tengo. So sí, tengo hijos, or sí, tengo hijas. Wrong punctuation. But suppose you want to say no, I don't have. We would simply insert no in front of our verb no. No tengo hijos. Or no, no tengo hijas. Simple as that. And another question. Número 18 is similar to número 17. Because suppose you're not old enough or the examiner perceives that you're not old enough to, have children, they could ask, ¿tiene hermanos or hermanas? Testing your knowledge of your family relations here. Do you have brothers? And again, brothers could also be siblings, as in a blend of male and female, or do you have just sisters? And the response is the same. If you say yes, I have, sí, tengo hermanos. Or sí, tengo hermanas. But if you don't have any, it is no. No tengo hermanos. Or no tengo hermanas. Why do I keep writing the wrong punctuation signal? Let's get rid of that. There we go. Right. So that's your response for this question. Let's move on. Dos preguntas más. 19. And this is a follow-on question for questions 17 and 18. And we kind of know what this question is asking already. So this is what I was talking about. And I'm just going to write 20 because it's the same thing pretty much. So como se llama would be the singular. And then como se llaman, the plural. So it's pretty much what I said in the video on preguntas personales when we were saying como se llama usted. But I went a little bit into saying, suppose you were being asked about someone else. So if in the conversation, the examiner was speaking about your sisters, your brother, your children, whatever the case may be, the examiner can say, for argument's sake, ¿tiene hermanos? And your response is, sí, tengo hermanos. A follow-up question to that could be, ¿cómo se llaman? If it's hermanos. Maybe you're going to say, let's add a little bit to this. Maybe you're going to say, in this case, sí, tengo una hermana, meaning I have one sister. And the examiner could say, ¿cómo se llama? And the examiner doesn't have to add, ¿cómo se llama su hermana? Because it's understood that you're having the conversation. And in the conversation, you have revealed, I have a sister. And then she now wants to know, what is your sister's name? So the response, of course, to this, let me write the translation first. What is, remember now the se llama could be his or her name. I'm not going to even say that it's going to be you in this case because the usted would have been there. So what is his or her name? In this case, because it's the plural, what are their names? So if it's one person, you would of course put your verb, se llama, and you insert the name. You could also put mi hermano if it's one brother, or hermana if it's one sister. Se llama, and you put the name. You could also put, I'm going to try and squeeze this one a little bit here. You could also put, if you're using the other naming structure, you could also put el nombre de mi hermano or hermana es, and you put the name. Dare I try and squeeze that other structure in? Let's try it and see. Or Ana es el nombre de mi hermana. And that's how you answer that question. Now, if you're doing the plural version, you will go like this. Se llaman, and you add their names, or plural now, mis hermanos or hermanas se llaman, and you add their names, more than one name. If you're using the other naming structure, los nombres de mis hermanos or hermanas son, and you add their names, or you have the names, son los nombres de mis hermanos or hermanas. That's it. 9 preguntas just like that. So what did we look at in this category of La Familia? We looked at ¿cuántas personas hay en su familia? ¿Es usted casado? ¿Es usted casada? ¿Es usted soltero? ¿Es usted soltera? ¿Cómo se llama su madre? ¿Cómo se llama su padre? ¿Cuál es la profesión de su madre? ¿Cuál es la ocupación de su esposa? ¿Cómo es su madre? ¿Cómo es su marido? ¿Tiene hermanos? ¿Tiene hijas? ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llaman? Very easy, straightforward, to the point, no hitches or glitches. Comment below what are some of your responses to some of these questions. So that's it for this video. Join me in the next video where we'll pick up at question 21, número 21. So for now, adios.